So how did you go about starting your own sanctuary?
Well, it was always in the back of my mind that I wanted to take control and try and start something of my own. And so that process got a step in the right direction because there was this feature film that he was wanting to make. And I was the guy to make that film. And I had a deal whereby I said, well, if I do this film, I will, firstly, I'll do it, no problem. But I want co-ownership of the animals. And that was a condition. And so that was granted. And so I produced the film, and I worked with the animals in the film. And that was a step in the right direction. And we moved all the animals away from the park where it was at to another facility, which was kind of purpose built for this film. And so I thought, okay, great. This is the realization of my dream, is because now I have co-ownership. We have this new property. There's more control. We're sailing. I'm starting to get happy about this. And then, wapow! It was this association of this facility always with the old. And so often people would say to me, but Kevin, how could you speak against an industry knowing full well that that's what's going on? Mm-hmm. And I was like, you're right. You're absolutely right. And so it was another step to how do we either extricate ourselves out of that or get them to stop. Mm-hmm. And so there were many conversations about stopping. But I think ultimately when it is a business and there are shareholders saying, listen, pal, you stop this is going to be the death of the business. Mm-hmm. It doesn't happen.
So how did you get from that place to where the sanctuary's at now?
So through kind of getting to a point where we knew it was unsalvageable. It was then a question of trying to find people to help me in moving. And that resulted in finding people who were willing to offer up their property, offer up the land, and make that progression, make that kind of leap of faith.
And the animals that you have at the facility are largely ones that you first developed relationships with at the Lion Park.
Correct. Yeah. And obviously, a lot of people say to me, oh, but you didn't take all the animals with you. Yeah, because if I took every animal with me, they would have no animals themselves. So it was really a difficult time in my life because it was like I had relationships with a lot of animals. Every animal that was coming through the ranks, there I was forming bonds with. Because I kind of saw it as like, well, I can't raise an animal and then not have a relationship with it. How do you do that? It's like having this pet dog, and then when it gets to 4, you give it away. When I left, with the animals that I had in my care at that point in time, there were some animals that I had to sever bonds with at the previous park.
Explain the dilemma that you were in when years later you get a call about 2 Spanish lion cubs that were in need of rescuing.
Yeah, I always say to people, never say never. And why I say that is because I used to say never. And when people said to me, well, would you rescue lions? I said never. I'll never do that. And why? Because I was so firm in my belief that this was it. I was going to look after the lions in my care, and that would be that. So when I moved to the property where we're at, Welgedacht, no breeding, all the lions were on contraception, all the animals. We had one whoopsie with the hyenas, because the hyenas don't take to the contraception the same as the lions. But certainly that was it. In terms of the lions, it was no more breeding. And I was happy with that because now you got this number of animals and they ultimately going to get less and less, and that's the idea. And lo and behold, along came George and Yame. I got this call and it was like, Kev, can you take these lions? And I'm like, no. A few days pass, Kev, you have to take these lions. I'm like, can't somebody else take them? And that's when you start to realize, well, the other facilities are full. There wasn't capacity, and I did have capacity. And it was like, okay, George and Yami are coming. But, in retrospect, they're 6 years old. George is full of issues because of his past. Bone-related issues. He's got collapsed calcaneus bones, which puts slack on his Achilles tendon. He walks funny. It's caused, deformation of the bone. His muscle mass is not what it should be. He's had cataract surgery on his eyes. I mean, this is all crazy stuff that we do to keep the animals in a healthy way. And you start to actually think about it. Well, he's 6 years old now, and where are we going to be when he's the age of my other aging lions? It's going to be an ongoing battle. And furthermore, all those people that were there for the rescue, gone. No one asks how George and Yami are anymore. There's a few. Don't get me wrong, there are a few. But by and large, all those people that were there for the rescue, gone, moved on to the next one, And you left with the problem.
Right.
You left with the enrichment programs. You left with the criticism of whether you do something right or wrong. You left with the responsibility to look after these lions till the day they die.